the series is not over, but this is now obviously a monumental hill for the Nuggets to climb coming up in game 6 on Thursday. They absolutely have a chance to tie this thing up and take it back to Oklahoma City for a game 7. I think they will, but we'll see what happens. 303-504-0925 is the Champ Mazda text line. Same for the hotline, 303-504-0925 if you want to weigh in on today's game and give me your thoughts on what just took place there in Oklahoma City. Okay, so the question is, what do the Nuggets do with Michael Porter Jr.? And this is something I've been talking about for this entire series, for sure, really the entire playoffs, but specifically this series. Michael has been hit or miss, no doubt about it. And, I understand he is dealing with the shoulder injury, so I do give him a little bit of grace, but it's getting to the point where he's almost becoming unplayable, unfortunately. 1 of 7 tonight, 2 points from MPJ, 0 of 5 from 3. So I'd be curious to see what the Nuggets and David Adelman specifically decide to do with the Michael Porter Jr. situation unfolding in this series. All right, we got D-Mac on the show. We'll bring him in here. D, brutal loss for the Nuggets. Joker goes nuclear. Only one really doing anything in the fourth quarter. I don't know if you heard the stats I just rattled off there, D, but let me give this to you. I didn't.
Yeah, give it to me again. Yeah.
So Joker scored 13 points on 4 of 6 shooting in the fourth. The non-Jokic Nuggets scored 6 points on 1 of 15 shooting, and that one was at the end of the game. It was a concession basket. So basically nothing from the non-Jokic Denver Nuggets in the fourth quarter. Brutal.
Yeah, they were tired. They were David Adelman blew this one. Don't know how else to say it. Should have learned his lesson in the previous game. We talked about it extensively on our show for the past couple of days. And you refused to play, even on the post-game show. Dwight Howard was like, well, who's this Saric guy? Why doesn't he play? And I laughed at that. But his point was, why don't you throw DeAndre Jordan there? And his point was let's get other guys in the mix here. And this is why Jokic scoring 40-plus points, Dan, is not a good thing. Everybody else just sits around. They watch Jokic. They don't get into the flow of the game. His assists are way down. So, yeah, it was a great game by Jokic, but it was an unbalanced game, Dan. And that's on Adelman. And he did question himself, kind of. Vic asked him the question. Vic was, if you can find it off TNT, but Vic asked it right off the bat to Adelman about the fatigue, and Vic is right. So I was sad to see it. There's no reason you had to play Jokic as much as you did. You had an 8-point lead, Dan, going into the fourth quarter, same as you did last game. What are we doing? We got to use our guys, Dan. And it translates. Lou Dort, okay, hit back-to-back-to-back threes, right? If they've got a little bit more energy, a little bit more life, a little bit more rest, a little bit or anything, can they defend better too? And to stand around and watch Jokic play doesn't work. Yep. It doesn't work. 40-point games, great games by Jokic are not the key for the Nuggets winning games. They're not.
Yeah, well, we've talked about, I've said this on the show all season. The Nuggets are at their best when Joker does not have to be their primary scorer. Now, what was interesting, actually, just sticking on this point real quick, D-Mac, and I said this also before you came on. So get this. And at the time, when Jokic started the fourth quarter, I was like, oh, man, I think that's a mistake.
Right.
I think that's a mistake. Although he actually did play well, but the rest of the guys were simply out of gas. So get this, D-Mac.
But by the way, too, during that time, Jokic hit a couple of free throws, but damn, they went 7 straight minutes without hitting a field goal.
Yeah, I mean, they were gassed. No doubt about it.
That includes Jokic.
Right. So the Nuggets have now lost 3 of their last 4 postseason games where Nikola Jokic has not rested in the fourth quarter. Despite leading in all but one of those games entering the fourth, D-Mac, they're losing those quarters by an average of 11 points. They've lost.
I do not know. I don't know what
4 playoff games where Joker hasn't rested in the fourth quarter.
Dan, this is not a mystery. We have talked about it kind of endlessly. And I did predict, not to pat myself too much on the back, just a little bit, I suppose.
Go ahead, man.
I did say they would lose tonight. The margin was about what I expected. And I say they're going to win on Thursday. Now, you will have 2 days of rest between game 6 and game 7. And my only fear is you're going to go into game 6 with the same mentality that you just lost these last 2 games in. And you can't do it, Dan. You can't do it. And I understand it's hard to trust guys, but you didn't build any confidence. You were probably going to lose this game no matter what, Dan. This had been the perfect game to play Pickett and play DeAndre Jordan. Perfect game. And Westbrook he was brutally bad in this particular game. Although I love his energy and all that, this game was screaming for Jalen Pickett and DeAndre Jordan to get some minutes, Dan. Screaming for it. And you should have just opened the fourth quarter with it and let that go for a little bit and see what you get. You could get some energy, get a couple dunks from DeAndre Jordan. You just get a different vibe and a different feel. I'm stunned that Adelman would just that is a scared coach right there. Unfortunately, I hate to say that too because I really like him. But that was scared coaching.
Is it scared or inexperienced, do you think?
Okay, fine. Whatever.
I don't know if there's a difference. I'm just curious.
I think, listen, I'll tell you this. I think he coached the game just like Michael Malone would have coached the game.
Yep.
They just.
Julian Strawther, D-Mac, I thought he actually played okay. I thought he played well enough to get more than 10 minutes. He plays 6 minutes in game 4 and 10 minutes tonight. Look, here's the question, okay? Right, at least let's just put it on tonight's game. Just tonight.
Okay.
Would you have been more confident in Julian Strawther being able to knock down an outside shot or Michael Porter Jr. in tonight's game?
Michael Porter Jr., but I know what you're saying. I do understand what you're saying.
Man.
I do understand what you're saying, but I'm always going to go with a guy who's been in big moments and has hit big shots before. But I don't not understand what you're talking about, Dan. I get it. I would have. Christian Brown hit some good ones. Peyton Watson hit. How many did he have? Just that one.
Yeah, 1 of 3 from 3.
One. I don't know. Westbrook couldn't do anything tonight. 0 of 3, 1 of 7 from the floor, 4 points.
He missed a couple of shots by about 3 feet.
Yeah, man. I don't know what to say, man. I don't know what to say. You're up by 8 points going into the fourth quarter. It's time to empty your bench a little bit. Give your boys some rest. It was screaming for it. It was crying for it. And the punch in the gut was they were okay for a couple minutes, and then they went on that terrible 7-minute field goal less streak. And that's what we talked about too during the day. It's like once you get in the fourth quarter, it becomes too late if you haven't made the move already. And it wasn't just that Jokic missed shots, which he did during that span, but everybody else was just standing around watching him. And they couldn't hit a shot because they weren't in the flow of the game and they were probably too tired and too worn out. And this one is it's on the coach, unfortunately, man. It's on the coach. And if you didn't have the prime example of what to do the game before, then okay, maybe. But Dan, it was the same situation. It was the same exact situation. And you made the same exact decisions. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result.
Well, and what's so weird, D-Mac, is you're right. It's the same position they were in game 4. And after game 4, Adelman said, right. I might have to play some more of these guys. He said that after game 4. And then he does the exact same thing tonight. I don't get it.
Now, we're being critical, and I think rightfully and fairly so, but all is not lost. All is not lost. And you're going to come home and you're going to win game 6. And if this series tells you anything, the Nuggets will have a chance in the final couple of minutes to win the game. And you just hope that Adelman sort of figures it out. And listen, you're going to lose like this anyways, Dan. If you play like this, if you do your rotation like this, you will lose anyways. You kind of have nothing to lose. And I'm being very specific here by giving minutes to Jalen Pickett and DeAndre Jordan.
And I would add probably like 5 to Julian Strawther. Like I said, he played 10 tonight. He can play 15 minutes.
Sure,
You know,
sure.
I
That's
mean,
fine by me.
so, but the real question, DMAC, for Game 6 and just the remainder of this series is, what do you do with Michael Porter Jr.? Now, look, what do I want them to do? I want them to start him and pull him if he's not making shots early. I've been pretty consistent about that throughout this series. What I want them to do is play Julian Strawther a little bit more. And look, I'm giving Michael Porter Jr. some grace here. I understand what he's going through. I get it. Like, I have championed him for the heart he's shown in these playoffs, just for showing up and playing through the pain. Like, that's fantastic. But at some point, the head coach has to make a hard decision here. And if Michael is not able to do what he's out there to do, then Adelman's got to replace him with somebody. And I think that guy is Julian Strawther. I mean, look, I get what you're saying. He's experienced. He's been there before. I get it. But this version of Michael Porter Jr. is a shell of a healthy Michael Porter Jr. It just is.
Well, we did talk about on our show, like Porter right now, 2 bad games, 1 good game, 2 bad games, 1 good game. So he's due. I mean, we'll see.
We'll see. I mean, we
We'll
were
see.
saying
I mean,
this
that is
after.
what happened. I mean, they did lose by 43 in game 2, and Michael Porter Jr. was incredible in game 3 at home.
You're right.
And you're you're in that same exact situation. He just had 2 lousy games in a row, and here we go for a game at home. You got to give it a shot. You got to see what he's got.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Start him. Start him.
Sure.
I mean, I'm with you there. But if, like, today's game is a perfect example. I would have run more Julian Strawther, I don't know, by like middle of the second quarter in tonight's game, even into the third, because you could just tell, man, it just wasn't there for Michael. The shot wasn't falling. He looked awkward out on the court. So is Adelman going to – he's not going to bench him, and I'm not calling for the benching of him. But I do think his leash needs to be pretty short in game 6.
The problem that probably exists now, especially after tonight, is because you didn't give Jalen Pickett any run. The level of confidence is going to be kind of whatever. Strawther, okay, if you want to open it up a little bit. And when Strawther's in there, there's only 1 point for him being in the game, Dan, and that's to shoot.
That's all he needs to do.
Well, that's all he can do. So,
yeah.
So there you go.
I mean, now that's what Michael Porter Jr.'s out there to do too, right?
And what a killer when Dort, who was useless in game 4, I mean, holy cow. I mean, back to back to back. But that being said, all Dort did, Dan, was hit wide open threes. And the Nuggets had those same opportunities on wide open threes as well. Wide open. NBA wide open. And the final 2 minutes, the game's tied. Here we go. Who can make a shot and who can't? And the Thunder made the shots and the Nuggets didn't. But the game was lost, Dan, in that 7-minute run when the Nuggets, they have 4 free throws and 0 for whatever from the field, whatever that stretch was. 7 minutes of no field goals, can't make a bucket, can't buy a bucket for 7 minutes. That's where you lost the game.
Yeah, and who knows what happens in that fourth quarter if you do rest the starters. Heck, even just for 2 or 3 minutes to start the fourth quarter. It's not like we're sitting here saying, hey, Joker needs his full rest in the fourth. I get it. You want to win the game, but man, even like 3 minutes. I mean, we've seen that work in the past, DMAC, where they've taken Joker out for the first 2.5 minutes of the fourth. Okay, get him a little extra rest, bring him back in. And by the way, this isn't just for Joker. This is for Jamal too. I mean, that was what was one of the disheartening things for me tonight was Jamal caught fire in that third quarter. I mean, I was like, oh, wow. I mean, if this is the Jamal they're getting for the rest of the game, this game is over. But the problem is Jamal was awesome in the third and then absolutely disappeared in the fourth. And Joker just, listen, man, he is unbelievable. I mean, what he did in the fourth quarter tonight was insane. The turnaround, Sombor shuffle 3 to tie it up late, awesome. But he can't do it by himself. I mean, you can't have one of these guys make a shot and help him out. That was what was really disheartening. And it should have been Jamal.
And listen, all those moments were great. The long-range Sombor shuffles are incredible. But it's not like the Nuggets made a comeback, Dan, to get to that point. They blew another fourth quarter lead to get to that point. They were hanging on desperately to get to that point. And that's where the game was lost. I mean, yeah, Joker played great in the fourth, making some amazing shots, but he didn't hit a bucket for 7 straight minutes except for free throws in a 7-minute stretch either. Nobody did. And that's on the coach and his lack of belief in the bench. Man, this guy Adelman just does not trust these dudes.
Well, Malone didn't either, to be fair.
Well, okay, fine.
I mean, you know what I mean?
But here's what's stunning to me. The thought that you could win the same exact way that you lost in the same exact situation, to think, oh, well, tonight's going to be different. Why was tonight going to be different than in game 4 when it's the exact same situation? And it's been multiple times now, Dan, where Adelman started Jokic in the fourth for that I'm going to put my foot on their neck sort of moment. That hasn't happened. I think it's the third time now that he's tried that, and it hasn't happened. It hasn't worked. So listen, I'm disappointed for tonight, because tonight was winnable if you did some really basic things that you should have done based on what failed the game before. But that being said, I have no way have I given up hope, not only in game 6, but in the series itself. And don't forget, for the first time, the Nuggets will have 2 days of rest if they can win game 6 between games in the series. There's 2 days before game 6 and game 7. And I don't know if you saw it or not, but I'm sure you did. It's 6:30 on Thursday and 1:30 Mountain Time on Sunday.
Whew. I like that.
Yeah, I do too. I love that. We talked about that. We're
D-Mac,
both fans of that.
last couple of things here with you. Okay, first of all, I agree with you. The scoreless 7-minute scoreless stretch in the fourth doomed them. Okay, I got it. But also, I don't want to overlook the Nuggets were pretty bad at closing out quarters tonight. I mean, they had a great third quarter, and they ended that quarter poorly. You could say the same thing in the second quarter also. And then lastly, yes, the offense disappeared in the fourth. I mean, they scored 19 points, but they gave up 34 points in the fourth quarter. Let's not forget about that, too. They couldn't stop anybody on the Thunder, and who knows if that changes with a little bit of rest to start the fourth quarter. Maybe they've got, a little bit more juice left in the tank to slow the Thunder down. And I mean, how many of those threes were like literally one of the threes? I think it was it Jalen Williams? I mean, wide open in the corner. Literally, there wasn't a Nugget on that side of the court, D-Mac. Literally nobody even near him. I couldn't believe it.
And I will say that's a result of being tired, Dan.
Exactly.
You don't have the same energy. You can only rotate so many times. You get pooped. And Christian had big minutes tonight. Jamal had big minutes. Joker had big minutes. What AG have? Was he over 40? I'm sure
37.
he was.
37.
Oh,
actually.
So he wasn't. So that's all right.
Yeah, AG was okay tonight. He wasn't bad. He wasn't great. He was just okay.
He was just you're right. He's just okay.
Jamal was great in the third. Jamal was great in the third and was just okay in the other quarters and then disappeared in the fourth. That's the other problem there too.
Christian disappeared a little bit too.
Yep, Christian had a rough game. 2 of 8 from 3. That's wild that D-Mac, the Nuggets took 46 threes tonight. Now look,
I know. What is that?
Well, we've talked about this. I think we talked about this after game 4, and I do credit the Thunder in this aspect. This is their game plan, man. They are forcing the Nuggets to shoot the basketball on the outside. They are packing the painted area. I mean, I saw a bunch of people complaining on Twitter tonight how many threes the Nuggets took. And sure, could they make a little bit more of a concerted effort to get the ball to the rim, which they made a great adjustment in the first quarter, by the way. They start the game 1 of 9 shooting from the field, timeout.
And they got physical.
They got physical and went to the rim, and it turned things around. But I'm telling you, the Thunder, this is their game plan. They want the Nuggets to be taking this amount of threes. They are doing everything they can to keep them out of the painted area. The dunker spot with Aaron Gordon, they have completely taken that away. I mean, that is just gone in this series. So I do credit OKC in that sense. It's a good game plan. It's working out for them. But if you're the Nuggets, you've got to make more of a concerted effort throughout the game, not just in stretches, to try to get the ball to the rim, because that's when the Nuggets were rolling tonight, was when they were getting to the rim, and they just kind of only did that in spurts and got away from it. Just a bummer. Just an absolute bummer. All right, D, any final thoughts before we let you go? Feelings on Game 6? I think D-Mac's frozen. That's all right. There he goes. Darren McKee, everybody. Tough loss for the Denver Nuggets. 105-112 is your final. This series will... Oh, D-Mac's back. There you are. Sorry, you froze there for a sec, D. All right, D, sorry. Something's going on with your mic there. We can't hear you. But, yeah, brutal loss for the Nuggets tonight. But look, like D-Mac said, this thing is not over. I mean, they do have a good chance to win Game 6. It's at home. And like D-Mac said, if they win Game 6, they will have a couple of days off in between Game 6 and 7. So that should be absolutely huge. All right, we'll take a timeout. When we come back, see a lot of text flooding in. Want to get your thoughts. 303-504-0925. You're listening to In the Paint right here on Altitude Sports Radio.
The home of Mile High Playoffs. Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. Altitude Sports Radio 92.5 is the home of your Denver Nuggets. All day tomorrow, we'll be reacting to tonight's game with you. Join the conversation. It all starts at 6 in the morning with Brett Kane.
Playoff Jamal is so fun.
Also, we're getting set for a massive Game 6 at Ball Arena, and we want to put you there. Listen on the 20s every hour tomorrow from the home of Mile High Playoffs. Altitude Sports Radio 92.5.
Now's the time for a great deal on a new Honda. It's time to drive smarter with high-tech features and excellent reliability. Check out the Honda Civic, Accord, or HR-V. For a limited time, well-qualified buyers can get a 4.99% APR on a 2025 Civic or a 3.99% APR on a 2025 Accord or HR-V. Hurry into your Honda dealer today.
See dealer for financing details. Exclude Civic Si and Type R.
At 9 News, our Weather Impact team prioritizes alerting you early and often when disruptive weather comes to Colorado. We explain when severe weather will hit, how it will directly affect your life, and deliver information that keeps you prepared. When we experience any weather that impacts or inconveniences you, we'll issue a Weather Impact Day. Be prepared and stay connected during severe weather with your 9 News Weather Impact team.
I got a nightmare phone call that no parent wants to receive.
Someone hit me going 60 miles an hour.
Dr. Ramos came highly recommended. When I showed him the x-rays, he immediately knew exactly what was wrong.
We've had a tremendous experience with Ramos Law. Really, I could not be happier.
Having the car accident was an accident. Finding Ramos Law was no accident.
Injured in a car accident? Ramos Law can help. RamosLaw.com.
We've always known Redbird Farms for being the fan favorite chicken at home or in your favorite restaurant. Now you can find it behind the butcher counter at King's Supers and City Market. You can choose fresh, hand-picked cuts of flavorful chicken breast, the wings, the thighs. Get the perfect portions for any occasion when you're cooking by yourself or feeding the whole team at home. It's perfect for grilling, roasting, any way you crave your chicken. It's gotta be Redbird. Available fresh, frozen, and now at the butcher counter at King Supers and City Market.
Redbird Farms. Where does a journey to wellness begin? Do you start looking for diet ideas? Or searching for exercise plans? Actually, you don't have to look far. Just look to the first 2 letters of the word wellness. We means you don't have to figure it out yourself. It means your hopes and challenges are a perfect match for our knowledge and resources. It means anything you want to achieve, together, we can achieve better. Because wellness begins with we. Intermountain Health, the power of we.
More Denver sports talk in 60. Altitude Sports Radio 92.5.
When your team's best players have all been traded and the latest pick is overrated, just raise a glass with a friend or two and tell them more, tell them more, tell them more do. May your team be great and your picks be true, and if it falls apart, you'll know what to do. Just raise a glass with a fan or two and tell them more, tell them more, tell them more do. It's a crazy world, so what do? You tell them more, tell them more, tell them more do. Hey!
Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey, imported by William Grant & Sons, Inc.
Hey, basketball fans, ready to score some cash back?
Tip off your shopping trips with the Ibotta app and get cash back on groceries and more. Start with Ibotta to find offers at hundreds of your favorite retailers, from grocery and home improvement to sporting goods and apparel. Then shop as usual in-store or online. The average saver earns over $100 per year. Download the free app and start earning cash back today. Ibotta, cash back made easy. Ibotta is a proud sponsor of the Denver Nuggets.
KKSC Parker, KKSC FM HD1 Broomfield, KKSC FM HD2 Broomfield, V269 AE Boulder. We are Altitude Sports Radio.
You're in the paint. Here's Dan Tanner on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5.
Second straight game where shooting was an issue in the fourth
Right.
with a lead. Is that fatigue? How do you explain it?
I mean, you can say it's fatigue. I think shot quality, too. I thought early in the quarter we did get really good shots. They didn't fall. And then late, their pressure got to us, and we were up against the clock a lot. So if it is fatigue, that's on me. You know, I'm deciding who's going to run it and who's going to be out there. So, you know, if guys were tired or had tired legs, that's the decisions I'm making. So I like the group that we had. We had a good rhythm there going to the fourth. And I thought we sustained it early. You know, and I had the 4 timeouts to stop the game a couple times in the first 6 minutes. But we didn't have enough at the end. And the shot creation that when we did make it, it felt like every time we had a chance to go back up 12 or get back up 14, you know, we wouldn't make the shot, and they'd run out and make a basket or score in transition. So it compounded itself. You know, we had great performance from Nikola. Just, you know, have to have a few other guys have a game, which we can do in Game 6, have full confidence in our guys.
Yeah, you just heard it. Adelman said, you know, they were gassed. And if you missed it earlier, I brought this out. The Nuggets have now lost 3 of their last 4 postseason games where Nikola Jokic has not rested in the fourth quarter, despite leading in all but one of those games entering the fourth quarter. They're losing those quarters by an average of 10.8 points. So look, this, you know, I commend David Adelman for the job he has done, taking over that late in the season and getting this team to the second round of the playoffs. And look, they're still in this thing, okay? I'm not trying to say this thing is over, but that to me was a sign of an inexperienced coach, plain and simple. And like DMAC said, you know, they were in this exact same situation in Game 4, and Adelman decided to do the same thing. So that was a little shocking to me to see. And after Game 4, like I said, David Adelman said, you know, I might have to go deeper than an 8-man rotation. Well, he went with an 8-man rotation tonight. Really, the only difference was that Julian Strawther played 10 minutes and not 6 like he did in Game 4. So I saw Vic tweeting out that he thinks Julian Strawther will get a lot more run in Game 6. I agree. I mean, I don't know if he will. I think he should, especially if Michael Porter Jr. is not hitting his shots early on. And DMAC says leave him out there. I get it, but man, this version of Michael Porter Jr. right now is just, he's almost nearing territory where he's unplayable. And look, I understand that he's had some nice bounce back games in these playoffs. He has. But the problem is it's a crapshoot with Michael right now. You just don't know what you're going to get. And it's looking like and leaning towards what you're going to get from Michael is more performances like we saw tonight. And in Game 3, or Game 2, was it? 1 of 7 from the field tonight, 0 of 5 from 3. And he's out there to hit outside shots. In a series where the Thunder are taking away the painted area, you've got to have guys be able to hit outside shots. And Michael, unfortunately, has not been able to provide that other than in Game 3. He did go 5 of 6 from 3 in that game. So look, like I said, I don't expect that David Adelman would bench him for Game 6, and I'm not actually calling for that, but what I'm saying is the leash needs to be shortened up significantly, especially early on in games. And you know, if Julian gets extra run and it's not working, then you can always go back to Michael. Like, it's not like if you yank him early, he can't come back in the game. But what they're getting right now out of Michael Porter Jr. is just, it's not helping this team. So, and I feel for the guy, like I said, I commend him for playing through this shoulder injury. I mean, that thing is really painful. So I get it. And he's had some bright spots during these playoffs, but the bad has significantly outweighed the good in this postseason with Michael Porter Jr. So it's, this is win or stay home, as Kaz said, win or stay home. And I think Adelman needs to do everything he can to make sure that the Nuggets get off to a strong start in game number 6 here at Ball Arena coming up on Thursday. Before we hear from Aaron Gordon, want to remind you that Thursday night is the biggest Nuggets game of the season, and Altitude Sports Radio wants to put you in Ball Arena for the game. Listen all day tomorrow for keywords on the 20s and your chance to win on your home for the Nuggets, Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. So make sure to tune in tomorrow. We'll be qualifying and picking winners for tickets to go see Game 6 Thursday night at Ball Arena. Aaron Gordon tonight, 37 minutes, 6 of 13 from the field, just 1 of 5 from beyond the arc. He had 5 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, and 13 points. Vic Lombardi caught up with AG in the locker room after the game.
Aaron, you know this team and you know the character of this team. Can you win 2 in a row against that team?
Absolutely. But I got to start with 1 at home. But really, I don't feel like talking about the game. Earlier, I caught wind of an article that came out about Russell Westbrook in our locker room after Game 2, which was a completely arbitrary article and pointless and unnecessary by whoever it was that put it out. Russ is one of the most talented basketball players that has ever played the game of basketball. And quite frankly, he's been great for us all year long. We're brothers. We spend more time with our team than we do with our family. Of course, there's going to be disagreements, but that conversation wasn't for anybody other than our own group and the internal workings of our locker room. So that article is just so arbitrary and so far from the truth. Russ has been amazing for us. And not only is he a great basketball player, but he's an even better human being. And he's going to continue to be great for us, and he's going to make a huge impact, and he's going to help us win these next 2 games. And that's all I got to say, guys.
Thanks, Aaron.
Wow. Okay. I did not hear that before we just played that, but that is interesting. And if you don't know what Aaron Gordon's talking about, Ramona Shelburne wrote an article today on the Nuggets, and basically in that article, there was some stuff in there that Ramona had reported that there was a confrontation in the locker room between Aaron Gordon and Russell Westbrook. Ramona says that Gordon allegedly called Russell immature and kind of called him out for his attitude. Now, what's weird about this, and you just heard Aaron Gordon dispute it right there, he almost it kind of sounded like he said there was a conversation, but I guess what he's saying is that a lot of the stuff in the article is false. And to add to this, Russell Westbrook's wife, Nina Westbrook, I guess on Instagram today, tagged Ramona Shelburne and ESPN and said, "Dirty work, Ramona. How could you share and spread so many lies randomly for no reason and with so much conviction? You're using his name for clickbait during the playoffs, which is ridiculous. Trust me, I know the facts about literally everything. Normally, I let you guys tell your silly lies in peace. Enough already. Stop with the lies. #Go Nuggets." Yeah, this was a really odd time for this article to come out. I don't really understand why this came out now. So, Ramona's been around the team. She's been covering the Nuggets during the playoffs. I've seen her at the games. I really don't know Ramona all that well, quite honestly, other than seeing her on television. But this was a weird sort of time for this to come out. So, look, and you could tell just in Aaron Gordon's voice, he is not happy about that article that came out. So clearly, from what it sounds like, there's a lot of stuff in there that Ramona got wrong. And, hopefully ESPN and Ramona can come out and do the right thing or clarify this. So, I saw Austin Rivers today actually make a post too. He's like, I'm sick of the anonymous reports. Like, if you're going to say stuff like this, then just say who told you and be open and honest about it. Just a weird time for that to come out. And in fact, I was so wrapped up in tonight's game that I had forgotten all about that. But the fact that Aaron Gordon didn't want to talk about the game and wanted to address that only, that is interesting to me. And I don't blame Aaron Gordon for wanting to address it. I get it. But you've got to wonder if that was sort of a dark cloud hanging over this team during this game. You just wonder. And Aaron was okay tonight. He wasn't bad and he wasn't good. He was just okay. Like I said, 6 of 13 from the field, 13 points. So you've got to wonder if this is, was something that was weighing on the minds of the Nuggets and specifically of Aaron Gordon, because allegedly, again, according to Ramona Shelbourne, this is an incident that took place between Russell Westbrook and Aaron Gordon in the Nuggets locker room. But I was not in there for that, so I don't know. I'm just going based off what Ramona wrote and the responses we've seen from, like I said, Austin Rivers had a response, Russell Westbrook's wife, Nina, had a response, and then obviously Aaron Gordon just addressed it there. So, we'll leave it there for now. As far as the game goes, again, Adelman was asked by Vic there, did fatigue play a factor? And Adelman kind of danced around it just a little bit, but basically he said, yeah, it was. And he talked about the shot selection. Okay, sure, I guess. But to me, what's not being talked about enough, and I did mention this with DMAC, is yes, the offense disappeared for a 7-minute stretch where they literally didn't score a field goal. But the defense was horrendous in the fourth quarter. I actually thought the Nuggets defense quarters 1 through 3 was pretty good. They give up 27 points in the first. Okay, take that. 27 points in the second. Good. And 24 in the third. And in fact, if the Nuggets would have closed that third quarter better, and the second quarter, by the way, they would have had a really good lead going into the fourth. Maybe that makes the decision for Adelman to possibly rest the starters for even just a couple of minutes a little bit easier. But I was shocked that Joker started the fourth quarter and the starters, to be honest with you, because Joker actually was the only one that didn't look like he was running on empty. Everybody else did on both ends of the floor. So it's just frustrating to see Adelman make that decision 2 games in a row going into the fourth quarter when you're in the same situation. I would be super shocked if the Nuggets find themselves with an 8-point lead on Thursday heading into the fourth quarter and Adelman plays the starters for the entire second half. I mean, man, if he does that 3 games in a row, that would be completely unacceptable. So we'll see. He's an inexperienced coach. That's just the facts. He just is. And he's going to make some of these mistakes. I get it. But you can't make the same mistakes over and over again. You've got to be able to learn and grow from these. And I hope that he will. Okay. Make sure to lock in your 4-game pick'em plan for the 2025-26 season, starting at just $100. Choose your games and seats once the schedule drops in August. Save on fees and get 2025 playoff priority access. Secure your plan today and don't miss the biggest moments at Ball Arena. Visit nuggets.com/pick'em to purchase. 112-105 is the final. The Thunder take a 3-2 series lead in the West semis between the Nuggets and the Thunder. When we come back, got a lot of text rolling in. I want to get your thoughts on the game. 303-504-0925. We'll get to that next. All right, before we get to some of your texts here, I just wanted to mention one quick thing regarding the Denver Nuggets in this postseason. And look, we talked about, a lot of us on this station, when these playoffs started, there is a different beast that awakens inside of Jamal Murray during the playoffs, okay? And that is true historically. He's one of those players, like I've never seen anything quite like it, where a player in the NBA literally never makes an all-star team, but he's a good player in the regular season. He is very good player in the regular season, but he becomes an all-pro at various points in the playoffs. We've seen that a bunch of times. We saw it in the bubble. We saw it in 2023. He has the ability to do that. But let's be honest here about Jamal Murray, okay? He has one playoff Jamal game so far in this postseason. One. And that was in Game 5 against the LA Clippers, where he went off. Now, he had a really good third quarter tonight, but it was just the third quarter. Jamal has not been the Jamal Murray this team needs to be in the playoffs. Plain and simple. He has not been good enough. Period. And if this team wants to overcome this 3-2 deficit, heck, if they want to win on Thursday, Jamal Murray has to play better. He's got to make more of his shots. He can't go 3 of 13 from beyond the arc. Just can't do it. He can't just have one good quarter. I mean, we're 12 games into the postseason, and Jamal has had one true playoff Murray type of game. And like I said, that was Game 5 against the LA Clippers. So Jamal Murray, I'm looking at you, man, for Game 6. I mean, you've got to show up, because the trust that I have in Michael Porter Jr. right now is basically non-existent. And I get it. I'm giving him a little bit of grace with the shoulder injury, okay? But I also understand fans that are saying, look, if you're out there, your job is to perform. I get it. And they're right about that, by the way. Like, if you've got the jersey on and you're out there playing and starting, no excuses. It just is what it is. But Michael's not going to bench himself, everyone. At some point, David Adelman's going to have to make a tough decision regarding Michael Porter Jr. Now, who knows? Game 6, Michael might come out and hit 4 straight threes in the first quarter. I don't know. I mean, we saw that happen in Game 3, basically. He went 5 of 6 from 3 in Game 3, 21 points. Okay. If you're getting that, Michael Porter Jr., sure. But I thought Adelman missed an opportunity tonight to play Julian Strawther more and rein back MPJ's minutes, because you could just tell it clearly was not there tonight. And it wasn't. 1 of 7 from the field, 2 points. And Julian, look, I'm not saying Julian Strawther is going to come in and fix all their problems. All I'm saying is that I have more confidence in Julian Strawther's ability to hit an outside shot right now than I do Michael Porter Jr. because of the shoulder injury. And it's clearly negatively affecting him, which is negatively affecting the team. So I am going to be really curious what Adelman decides to do with MPJ in Game 6. I'm going to be really curious to see if he goes deeper than an 8-man rotation, because D-Mac's right. This was a perfect game to play DJ some minutes tonight, to play Jalen Pickett some minutes tonight. I get that these guys have hardly played in the postseason, but so what? Really, they're out there just as bodies to help give the starters some extra rest. That's all I'm asking. I'm not even expecting them to go out there and really produce all that much. But at minimum, just get some of your starters a little extra rest. And if the starters had 3 minutes of rest in the fourth quarter, who knows how this game winds up? I don't think they get outscored 34-19 if Adelman decides to rest Jokic and the starters for the first couple of minutes of the fourth quarter, I don't think it happens. I mean, they were playing great. Quarters 1 through 3. They had this thing in the bag. They had an 8-point lead heading into the fourth quarter, and they get outscored by 15 in the fourth because these guys were gassed. It really is that simple. So anyways, I want to get your thoughts. 303-504-0925 from the 919 on the text line says Adelman blew it tonight. Where was Russ? If you're going to lose at 100 miles an hour. MPJ was bad all night. Another wasted Joker season. I'm seeing a lot of people like already calling the season over. I get it. It's frustrating. I get it. But I think they have a good chance to win Game 6. And then Game 7, with 2 days off in between, who knows what happens? Who knows? All right, Jordan, sorry, do we have Andy? Okay, let's go to the hotline, 303-504-0925. Andy Lindahl joins the show. Andy, where are your thoughts right now watching the Nuggets blow an 8-point lead going into quarter number 4 tonight?
I mean, I'm not in a positive state of mind. I'm not going to lie, and what part of it is the Nuggets are supposed to be the ones that handle the tight situations down the stretch, and it feels like you're helping Oklahoma City grow up in tight situations, and that's not great because you're not the better shooting team, you're not the deeper team, and you're now handing your advantage back to them. Lou Dort hits 2 big threes there in the fourth quarter, but and I know there's a lot of MPJ frustration from what I'm looking at online, and I heard some of your comments before coming on about not having the same confidence in MPJ, and I get all that, and that's reasonable. But, Dan, the guy that can't escape this is Jamal Murray in my mind. Jamal Murray was awful in the fourth quarter, couldn't hit a shot, couldn't buy a bucket, kept leaving things up short. The reality is with the contract structures on this team, if Jamal Murray can't be special, if Jamal Murray can't be the Robin, then they've got a lot of problems, and that's what frustrates me right now. And this is kind of the second time, where we see Murray have a good third quarter, but then not carry it over to the fourth quarter. This is the second playoff series in a row in this round. I shouldn't say second playoff series in a row, but the second time in the Western Conference semifinals, like against Minnesota last year, where Nikola desperately needs him to come along in the fourth quarter, and I just don't feel like he's doing it. And it's very frustrating to know that a $200 million extension is going to kick in, and we haven't seen a consistent playoff Jamal Murray since the championship run. And, he couldn't hit a 3 tonight. And look, Westbrook not hitting a 3 and airballing it, yeah, that's frustrating. I get it. Guess what? He's making $3 million. And MPJ, whether you like it or not, the shoulder's screwed up, and the more he gets knocked around, the worse it gets. Plus, MPJ is traditionally a better home shooter than he is an away shooter. So, again, I know the contract is frustrating, but at least you can see the reason why MPJ's play is deteriorating. Jamal Murray tonight in that fourth quarter just was not the factor he needed to be. And it frustrates me. Now, like you said, they may come home Thursday and get this done. I guess the more I watch this go on, Dan, where I get frustrated is, what are they going to have left for Minnesota now that their only chance to get to the next round is another 7-game series?
Right.
2
7-game series.
Do we even want to watch that again? So.
Yeah, Andy, you're right, man. And before you came on, I was just talking about Jamal Murray. Look, man, let's be real about Jamal here, okay? And I just talked about this. We've seen playoff Jamal. In 2023, he was there virtually that entire run, and it led to a title. We saw Jamal go off multiple times in the bubble in 2020, okay? So it's in there, and he's shown that he can do it over the course of a long playoff run. But we got to be honest about this, man. Jamal Murray has had one. They've played 12 playoff games now, right? He's had one true playoff Murray type of game, and that was Game 5 against the Clippers. He had a great third quarter tonight, but you just said it, and you're right. He disappeared in the fourth. When Joker needed him the most, he disappeared in the fourth. So you're right, man. Look, this is why the Nuggets are paying Jamal Murray, is because he has shown an ability to show up in the playoffs. And I get it, okay? I totally get it. But he's not showing up right now like this team needs him to. So Jamal, I mean, I'm calling on him. Game 6, Jamal Murray has to be more consistent, and he's got to be able to knock down these outside shots. People are getting upset about the amount of threes the Nuggets are taking, and I get it, but I've talked about this, Andy, the whole series. Look, this is the Thunder's game plan, man. They are packing the painted area. The dunker spot with Aaron Gordon, Andy, they have taken that away. It's been non-existent this series. Their game plan is to shrink into the painted area and force the Nuggets to take threes, and it's working. So a lot of people are saying, oh, they're taking way too many threes. Well, the Thunder are forcing him into it, and I credit the Thunder for that. So I don't want him taking 46 threes, but this is the game. This is what the defense is allowing them to do. So I just would be curious to get your thoughts on Jamal and the amount of threes that the Nuggets are taking in this series.
Well, I mean, look, man, and you and I are two hockey guys. Sadly, we're watching the Thunder use what the Stars use against the Avs. Take away all the nice, easy stuff. And with the Avs, it's the east-west passing for that easy backside shot. Like you said, the dunker spot is not existent because of their length in there. And you're right. Look, again, 46 threes is probably too many. But when you're trying to add on to a lead and build momentum, when you're trying to stab your opponent in the heart, you need a couple of those threes to go down. Because what's going on? It's getting so hard for them to get anything done in the paint, which sometimes takes 3-4 rebounds, to get they had that one possession where they get 4 rebounds and still came up empty.
Yeah.
You're kind of stabbing yourself in the leg instead of stabbing your opponent in the heart when you do that. And on top of it, they're just going to keep hanging back there till you make some damn threes. And when they've got Lou Dort and they've got Williams and they've got all these guys that can make threes, Shea, Chet from the corner, at times Caruso, you've got to be able to fight a little fire with fire. And again, the way this team starts feeling itself is trying to hit a three, and nobody can do it. So, and you can, the problem is they're beat up, they're tired, and going to the paint is hard. It's not easy. Hartenstein's waiting to foul you. Dort's waiting to foul you. Williams is waiting to foul you. And they've been fouling them, and the calls, I will say this about Jamal, there were a couple times he'd go to the hole, like at the end of the third quarter. He's not getting fouled there. Shea gets every little whistle of any hand that gets near him, and half the time he's shoving into him and pushing off and all that. But Jamal can't get one foul on his way to the hoop. And the joke of what is going on with Joker and the clothesline deal, and they call him for an offensive foul. I mean, look, it is what it is, and yet again, we can complain about the whistle. The whistle is not why they lost this game tonight. Their shooting is. And you know what, Dan, if they don't find a way to shoot better in the second half, they're not going to win Thursday, and they're not going to win the series. And look, I'm a little more worried about Thursday than I was beginning of the day, because I feel like you got your good game tonight. Frank, let's be honest, Dan. You've had leads in the fourth quarter of the last 2 games. You haven't been able to hold them because you can't shoot down the stretch, which speaks to me of tired legs, which speaks to me of the rotation problems again. It's crazy because I did not like him not resting Joker. I think whether Adelman likes it or not, he's got to rest Joker.
I was shocked that the starter started the fourth quarter, Andy. I was shocked because this is the exact same scenario we saw play out in Game 4.
Why would they not let DJ have just a couple of minutes? And I know, Nate likes to laugh at me when that happens, and I realize DJ moves slow. But at some point, don't you need just a couple of your own big bodies in there?
Yes, just especially against this team, man.
And it's not like you're having fast possessions. It's not like they're running. They never get out and run anymore because they're tired. So there's another problem. That's another key part of their game that's gone away. So I just don't understand why you can't let DJ just get in there and at least use his big body and frustrate their guys, their Jalen Williams, the taller one, a little bit if they need to, or even put him in there and let Hartenstein feel him a little bit here and there. I just don't get it. I understand you don't have this great bench, but DeAndre Jordan at times has had some effective minutes for you this season. And we should all know by now that if you don't buy Jokic at least 8 to 10 minutes of rest in a game, it's diminishing returns. So,
Yep.
I don't know.
Like I said, man, I was shocked, especially after Game 4 when they had the exact same scenario that Adelman did not decide to rest Joker. Dude, it's like I'm not talking, his full amount of rest, bring him back in with 6 minutes to go in the fourth, even if it's just for 2 to 3 minutes, bring him back at the 9-minute mark of the fourth quarter. That extra little bit of rest will help. And you're right about the diminishing returns, man. Like, it's obvious. And these guys, number one, they couldn't hit a shot in the fourth. Their legs were dead. Everything was falling short. And by the way, Andy, they couldn't stop the Thunder in the fourth either. Like, it affected their defense significantly. I mean, they gave up 27 points in the first, 27 in the second, and 24 in the third. They gave up 34 points in the fourth quarter, man. Like, that's got to be a factor too, doesn't it? I mean, the rest, who knows if those guys sit even for 3 minutes to start the fourth quarter. I don't think the Thunder score 34 points. Now, I'm not saying the Nuggets automatically win this game, but you're going to have a hell of a lot of a better chance if you have these guys as fresh as possibly can be. So I get it, man. It's frustrating. And look, man, this to me is one of the downsides of having an inexperienced interim head coach come in this late in the season and into the playoffs. Is he was unwilling to make an adjustment as far as the rotations go tonight. After game 4, Andy, Adelman did say, maybe I should go deeper than an 8-man rotation. He said that after game 4. And what did he do tonight? He went with an 8-man rotation. Now, Julian Strawther got 4 more minutes tonight than he did in game 4, but Julian can play 15 minutes. Can't he?
No, if you want to trust him, and again, I don't know. I don't understand. I understand Jalen Pickett's not the biggest guy out there, but he's kind of a little fire hydrant like Lou Dort is. And,
he's thick.
He's going to miss a couple shots, but guess what? So are the other guys. What could it hurt to just let – because here's the other thing. I know what's going on with these guys. And, look, I get it. It's the playoffs. You can't afford to let some bench player cost you a lead that you never make up, especially against a team like Oklahoma City that's got deeper shooters than you do and all that. But, man, like Jalen Pickett, Jalen Pickett knows if I don't hit a couple shots, he's yanking me out of here. And that's another part of the problem he's got going on with the bench. There's not a bench guy in there. Now, Russell Westbrook is the only one that doesn't feel like he's getting yanked out of the rotation if he doesn't hit something. But Watson and Strawther and DJ, I'm sure, wants to know what's going on. I don't know, man. It's well, at the end of the day, here's the problem, Dan. I want to keep complaining about it, but guess what? At some point, who you are in the regular season is going to show up. And you know what's showing up? They don't trust their bench. That's something else that's been going on. They don't hit a lot of threes sometimes. That's something else that's been happening. And you know what else killed them tonight that got going? That stupid corner three. The bad breakdown rotations on the corner threes. And, again, they always find a way that it's Jokic's guy, and Jokic never really seems to get out there. And it's tough to bang on Jokic because guess what? He's doing literally everything else.
Yeah.
But that corner three ball, and Dort hit one of them, it just has killed you all year. It continues to kill you. And so now, I don't know, man, maybe you come home and you ride the energy. But like I said, there's a part of me, and I know it's looking ahead, that thinks, do I even want them to get past this if they're just going to – if we're going to have to deal with another, gut-angering series against Minnesota, maybe the way this plays out is for the best, because I just feel like the fatigue has jumped on them just like it did last year in the same round.
Yep, it does feel eerily similar. Andy, you're the best, man. Thanks for calling in, and we'll chat with you tomorrow. Thank you.
All right. Take care, Dan.
All right, there he goes, Andy Lindahl. Yeah, I hear the frustration in Andy's voice. Look, Jamal's got to be better. And he scored 28 points tonight, but on 10 of 27 shooting and 3 of 13 from 3. He's got to be more efficient. Look, Christian Brown, he's got to be better as well, okay? He does. So I'm not just putting this all on Jamal. I don't want that. I don't want everyone listening to get confused about this. There are other players that also have to step up. You need more than 8 points from CB. Can he get you 15? I think that's doable. MPJ, who knows? Aaron Gordon, 13 points. He's got to be closer to 20. That's just plain and simple. And for Joker to have the game he did and they lose this game is just an absolute killer. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for the post-game show tonight. We will be back on Thursday, either talking about the end of the season or talking about Game 7 in Oklahoma City. For Jordan Berg, for DMAC, Berto, Andy Lindahl, I'm Dan Tanner. Thank you so much for listening to In the Paint right here on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5.